Welcome to Know Your Sheet. From tracking targets to budget battles, I've got a sheet for that. Let's get organized so you can know your sheet too. In this mini-series, we will work to know your budget sheet. This mini-series will walk you through setting up a spreadsheet to help you keep track of your income and expenses so you can start taking more control of where your money goes. Welcome to the first Google Sheets episode of Know Your Budget. In this episode, we will focus on getting the income and the basic expenses and then summing them up every month so you can see exactly what goes in and out of your budget. So the first thing we're going to do is start a brand new Google Sheet. So the first thing we're going to want to do is list the months so that we have the headings for each month across the top. Similarly to Excel, once you enter a few of the months, you can drag and autofill to fill in the rest of the months without having to type them manually. Now that we have the headers, let's go ahead and start entering our income. Now, list this how it best fits how you receive income. I personally like to itemize everything for accuracy, but do what makes sense for you. For instance, if you get paid weekly, set up 5 weeks plus 1 or 2 miscellaneous rows. Or if you get paid twice a month, you can list the 15th and end of month. I personally like to include the miscellaneous rows because sometimes you have tax returns, unexpected income, credit card rewards. You want to be able to note those as well. So we're going to go ahead and put in some fake data here so that when we do the calculations, we can see how this spreadsheet works. Once we have the income set up here, we are going to want to include a total income row where we sum all of the income that we've recorded so we can see how much is coming into our budget each month. And there will be an episode around formatting, but I'm going to go ahead and do a little formatting here because I like to make my spreadsheet and data a little bit easier to read as we go. So I'm just going to format this just a little bit to make it easier for us to read. Oh, and I shouldn't have copied these values all the way to December. Let's stop it at August so that we have our income up until then, and we still have future ones this year that have yet to come. So you can see what it looks like as an in-progress budget spreadsheet. Okay, now let's get to the fun and more chaotic part, our expenses. We should start with fixed bills that should be the same every month. We'll go ahead and add a header for this section. Let's enter rent and mortgage, some streaming services, a subscription, cell phone, internet. Now, I do like to separate utilities from other types of monthly bills as utilities are considered necessities and you're less likely to be able to reduce those or do anything about the cost unless you change carriers or providers. But in general, like I said, I really like to itemize my expenses or any data I have. I really like to categorize and group them so that I can look at the data at different angles. So let's go ahead and separate those out so that we have different categories of expenses. We'll go ahead and add a utilities header. Let's go ahead and add gas, electric, water, and utilities. Again, feel free to group this how it makes sense for you and how you'd like to see your bills managed. You can group them by the time of month the bill needs to be paid, first of the month versus mid-month versus end of month bills, etc. Just group it how it makes sense to you, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to view this data, make sense of it, and make a difference in your budget. Next up to record are credit cards. Let's go ahead and add a bank card, a Target credit card, an Amazon credit card, and a Best Buy credit card. Now, I always try to pay the full amount on the credit card every month so I don't have a rolled over balance, so no interest or fees. If this is not where you're at, we'll take some time later to make notes of this so we can track this information in detail so that you can make better decisions down the line. But for now, let's just fill these numbers with what we're actually paying on the credit card and not the actual balance owed, so that we can see what is leaving our account, and we're not going to track the lingering debt just yet. Now that we have the categories all set up here and the type of expenses we have, let's go ahead and fill this with some fake data so that we can see what this looks like as we start filling out the formulas and really building out this budget spreadsheet. And for each of these sections, let's go ahead and create total rows. And we're going to sum up the expenses in that category so we can see monthly how those bills look. Now for gas and electric, and this probably applies to some of the other bills as well, but we're going to make it so that the winter bills for those are higher than the other seasons, because we do have some seasonality to that data. Our heaters are on more often in the winter, so electric and gas bills tend to be higher during those times. So let's go ahead and enter in the data like that so we have some nice varying numbers in our totals. And let's go ahead and delete the data for September through December because that is the future and I am too zealous with copying forward. So let's go ahead and clear that out. And then let's go back and finish filling out the rest of these utilities. And now let's go ahead and start filling out some data for the credit cards. And we'll go ahead and make sure that the credit card section also has a totals row. So for the credit card amounts, I'm going to make up some values for January, but I'm going to go ahead and use a random formula to help me generate some fake data for the rest. Obviously, in a normal budget spreadsheet, you do not want to be using a random formula to generate numbers. You want to use the actual numbers from your bills every month. But for the sake of wanting a little variety and variations in the numbers, I'm just doing some formulas so that I can paste them back as the values so that you can see what it looks like when the numbers are varying and changing in a more realistic looking way. So something to note is that when you're summing all of these bills, if you are paying some of your regular expenses with the credit card, don't double count those bills. Make sure you remove those from the sums or move it to another section of covered under other payments. You can still itemize them. Like I definitely have a whole section of these are all bills paid out of my account versus out of credit cards or other places where I'm already summing as part of my expenses. Now with that, let's go ahead and sum the total bills for each month. And let's go ahead and also calculate the in and out difference every month. So how much income are we making and how much of it are we paying towards bills? And with that, we have our simplest version of our budget sheet. Check out the next video in this mini-series to see how we will expand and grow this spreadsheet so we can add irregular expenses, review averages, and start making use of the data we're collecting. This series has 4 episodes planned, but if you've got questions or requests, leave them in the comments. I'll dig through them all and create a part 5 based on what you want added to the budget sheet, because your sheet should work for you. Got a spreadsheet win or a formula fail? Drop it in the comments and share your sheet. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep your cells clean and your formulas tight. And remember, don't just use your sheet, know your sheet.